Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and
Blessings are
welcome
another
to
way.
Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting
I'm going
from
to talk show,
Atlanta,
so I
Georgia.
wouldn't very come. All right.
In tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate, we're going to be touching on current
Who
issues
else?
in
When come, if you
Liberia,
can be.
and there are lots of them. Lots and lots of current issues in tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate. Let's take a look at few of those issues. Number one, we have alleged murder and assassination attempt at Justice Scott's residence. Too many things happening now. Who's telling the truth? Is Major Koijee a victim or a perpetrator in this alleged crime? We have women protesting the death of Shalom Musu. What's going on here? Is it a we have a CDC women protest, Unity Party women protest, AFL, and all the other groups of women protesting. What's going on here? What's different about this death? Also, Liberian political parties petition the legislature. Who's in, who's out, and why are they there? Who is not part of that coalition and why? Our ANC brother will get some explaining to do here tonight. Also, Special Assistant to Minister Tue attacked and chased out by students on the University of Liberia campus. Is this mom justice or student activism? Equals resident representative fears for her life. And there's a video of a man arrested with guns in Monrovia. Are we safe? Ladies and gentlemen, that's the debate tonight. I want to welcome G Talk, aka Glendy Juniors, to Friday Night Debate. Glendy, welcome to the show. Unmute, please.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Dennis. It's good to be back.
Thank you. Glendy is not representing any political party here. She is independent-minded. Also, I want to welcome Mr. Momba Kesali. He's the ANC Youth Secretary. He's here tonight. Mr. Kesali, welcome to Friday Night Debate.
Good evening to you, Mr. Jack. Good evening to all the other panelists. It's good to be here today to talk about most of the important things happening in our country. It's a pleasant day, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me welcome P. Morris Kroma. His colleagues call him the perfect manager. He is also independent-minded. Mr. Kroma, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. It's good to be here.
Let me welcome the guy his friends call We Are Burying. He is a We Are supporter and the sedition, Mr. Prince Sharif. Mr. Sharif, welcome to Friday Night Debate. Please unmute.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis Jai, for giving me the opportunity to be on here. And let me say a good evening, good afternoon, and in our own Liberian way, let me say my people that are watching us from around the world, I want to say my people, your hello. And to my fellow panelists, I also want to use this time to say your hello again. Is another privilege for us to sit here and have the opportunity to, cross ideas and, able to give our own political view relative to what is happening. And again, to the family of our beloved sister, Charlotte Musu, to her mother in Maryland, and to family and friends, I want to say our deepest condolences. And we are here again tonight to do what is right for our nation and for us as a people. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sherry. Let me welcome Mrs. Welly Alice Moba, who is also independent. Welly, welcome to Friday Night Debate.
Thank you, Dennis. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here, ready for the show.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe here on Focus on Liberia. This is the home of the debate, and this is where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberian. It's often said when someone says he or she is a good dancer, don't argue with that person, just call a drummer. Tonight, I'm here with the drum, and we're going to debate the issues as they happen in Liberia. I want us to start. I saw this video today, and any one of you can speak to it just to see what is going on here. A video was posted of a car, stuck in the mud on the way to Grand Jide. And take a look at it and what you make of this video before we even begin the show.
And the river. Except for the paper to get out of the car, they have to back it. This is Grand Judah Road. This is Grand Judah Road. They won't just be buying the vote. When they come here, you vote for them, they get your back already, they get your one already. Yeah.
Perfect manager. Does that look true to you? What's going on there? What do you see? On mute, please.
I travel on that road quite a few times, so I'm very, very familiar with that kind of condition, and it's been like that for so long since the conflict. We have not done anything on that road, but I hear the WE administration is trying to connect Grand Judah to Nimba, which is a good thing. So if that happens, then yeah. But I've been on that road.
Don't be speculating here.
I'm only saying what I heard, so I'm just
I mean, they both said they were doing Bailey Island, they didn't do it.
Thank you.
So, I mean,
Momba, what do you think the young man is trying to do there? Rescue?
I mean, he tried to help an older man. Unfortunately, the weight of the older man couldn't allow him to do it. But that's how it's been, by the way, since Liberia was founded. That role is nearly impossible during the rainy season. I was along that path in 2020, and I still got videos, right, of similar conditions or worse. So, I mean, but it just speaks to the fact that Joshua is not in bad road medicine. Joshua is just making the roads worse in our country. I mean, it's just lip service. Nothing is changing. He's primarily relying on the things that were done by the past government. He's not doing anything new. So, I mean, it's a circle we find ourselves in. I mean, and one of the panelists just tried to speculate, and I said, do not speculate. I mean, Joshua told us they were going to do the Bailey Island. It's just a promise. The people make promises and promises and promises. They do not fulfill. I mean, so it's unfortunate, but that's what our people go through every day. I would really be excited if Joshua will one day travel along that path during the rainy season, and will have to face these kind of conditions, so he knows how it looks like, for our people on a daily basis. But it's sickening. I mean, people die along those routes every now and then. Goods get spoiled along that road. It hampers service. So, and it's also affecting the economy on the overall, because when people cannot take their goods out and try to earn a living, it's bad. But that's how the roads are. Nothing strange.
Thank you, Glendy. Is that we see? Is that what it is? What does that picture tell you about the power dynamics? You see, the man who is on the back of the younger person is bigger, and they try to carry that weight.
So the first thing, I don't even know why. I don't even understand what they were trying to do. I don't understand how he didn't consider his size and to climb on that man's back. It looks kind of, it was a poor decision for me when I saw it. I mean, you already see the road like this. So why are you trying? Was he not trying to get in the mud, or why it was just? It's kind of crazy that he thought that man small in size. Not to say that he may not be stronger, but would have been able to carry him over there. I mean, I also want to say, when we're hearing about they're fixing roads, we see pictures all the time about the different roads up in the interior areas. So to see this is somebody who is currently in the country. That's just it still says a lot, that there are a lot of things that they're saying that they've done that they have not done. I mean, he know that man are not going to be able to carry him across.
Does the big guy look like a politician, you think? Prince?
Yes, sir.
The guy on the back, does he look like a politician?
He's a citizen, as a matter of fact.
Well, thank you. I cannot look at that picture to uprightly say whether he's a politician, a UPist, a sedition, or whatever. But I see a human, and I see a Liberian, if I will put it that way. As I look at the very short video, there are two things that I'm seeing from that video.
Here we go.
The first thing I'm seeing is the generosity of Liberians to be able to assist despite of the condition, the circumstances, and situation. As you may recall, Liberia is one of the most hospitable nations you can find in the world. So when I look at this picture, it tells me about how Liberians are generous and how magnanimous they are towards helping each other. I see our culture. I see the good part of our culture. I see how in the midst of difficulties that we are able to help each other to solve problems. That is the first thing that I see in this particular video. The second thing that I see in this video, I see a neglect by the political elite, by a system that led us for 170 plus years. I see, when I look at this particular video, I am seeing how our people were being neglected, even though the resources came from those counties, they came from those areas. But unfortunately, when Liberia was declared as one of the most prosperous nation on earth back in the 60s, where our economy could be compared to that of Japan, people used state resources and money that could develop the country. They bought boom, they were smoking, gallivanting, jumping here and there, and neglect what they're supposed to do. So when I look at that picture, I see a problem of 170 plus years that President Weah, His Excellency President Dr. George Manuel Weah, is about to change the story very soon.
Thank you.
That's what I see in that picture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, some may say this is actually abuse. You know, this man can carry you, but because you are, I mean, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm drawing a parallel of how the system is working. And you see a man, you are 2 or 3 times his size, and you get on his back to sail you through a treacherous area. Just like how politicians ride on the backs of the poor to get to power. And what happened? He drops him in the water and say, what kind of mayor so? Well, they say, Flomo said, before a dog swallow a bone, you should take the measurement of your back. Didn't he know? What does that picture tell you?
Well, first of all, looking at the picture, I can tell that it was not generosity. It was a promise to pay, or he has already been paid to take the man on his back. And so because of the difficulties and hardship, around, he agreed, even though he knew this man was too big to carry. So now he dropped in the water. If this little man was taking the man based on generosity, that man wouldn't have told you, say, what kind of man is this? Because somebody who's helping you, you're not going to say that to the person. He didn't want to get in the muddy water. And now he was there. So he said, what kind of man is this? So it was not for free. It was a promise, or he already had money to give to him. And what I see also is the neglect of the Southeast from government after government. The Southeastern region has been neglected all the years. Before the war came, I drove on that road. And every year people used to pass on that road. It was not as worst as it has been since the war was over. Even though most of the places in Monrovia and surrounding, counties are being fixed, but the main road from Monrovia to the southeast is still terrible. I think last week, my cousin's husband died on the road between Zuedru and Nimba. So it's the consistent neglect of the Southeast that has become the disease for which the road is still a death trap. So looking at the picture, yes, I can conclude that the little guy was being paid to do the work.
Thank you. Perfect Manager, how many times have we seen that people get paid to do a work, or people are given little or nothing for votes or for things that will come back later on to hurt them? Yeah,
Dennis, thank you for asking that question. I think, when when I hear Prince Sherry talk about how Liberians are generous, it
That is
bothers
fun.
me. It bothers me because it's not generosity. You know, it's actually it's poverty. That's the definition of what poverty is.
Thank you.
You know, and when people are poor, they will find enemies to survive. You know, the country has experienced 15 years of moral decadence. Everything broke down in the country. Forget about, you know, the infrastructure. Just think about the behavior of the human being itself and what they experience. People that are born in the war, they're in their 20s now. Some of them go in the 30s, right? And so they didn't have the experience, Dennis, that you and I had, where we had, you know, mentors in our communities that could teach us what is right versus what is wrong. So these young people that go, you know, to these bad roads, they only go there to find something to survive. But I agree with you know, my sister earlier about the Southeast being neglected. It is one of the most neglected part of the country. It's neglected. You know, if you go to some of the counties, only one high school in the entire country, in the entire county. But somehow, the Southeast have the highest amount of people in the most prominent positions in the country. I mean, just look across the government. The president of Liberia, Southeast. The Senate Pro Tem, Southeast. The Speaker of the House, Southeast. If you go on the Supreme Court bench, you can count at least 2 or 3 people that are from the Southeast on the Supreme Court bench. So you can cut across the entire government, and you have all these people that make decisions about development in the country. The finance minister, Southeast, for heaven's sake. So there's no excuse for why the development is going away. The president got elected. The first thing like in the mouth is he will build coastal highway, and the coastal highway will run from Buchanan straight to the Southeast. 5 years later, they have not even broken ground for that project.
Thank you.
You know, it's sad, but you know, the part of Liberia is neglected. That's just the fact.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, that was a warm-up to the debate tonight. This is Friday night debate where we debate current issue. The first issue on the menu here is the special assistant to Finance Minister Tue. His name is Aloysius Howe. He was on the University of Liberia campus. He was heckled. He was chased. He was attacked by angry students calling him a thief. My question to you, I want you to watch the video and see and judge for yourself the action of the student. Do you think that is student activism or a form of hooliganism? Take a listen. Aloysius Howe, we saw when he was getting the car, he was smacked We're hearing sound on the car, smashing it with what? Later, we saw pictures of Aloysius Howe being in the hospital, and also his car being smashed. Well, Momba, please describe what you see, and do you think this is activism or hooliganism?
Well, I would say it is activism. Um, the students, had no weapon. They were doing what was within their means. I listened to the press conference of SOUP. The chairman of SOUP spoke today, and he explained the story that he went on a university campus, and according to the student leader, he was intoxicated and tried to make a move that on campus, and the lady was upset about it. And so that what motivated some of those students to be upset that such behavior is not needed on the campus, because the campus of the university is supposed to be the light in darkness. So you cannot have somebody who is intoxicated to go on campus and start misbehaving. Huh?
No, say how he was drunk.
Okay, so the main reason, yeah. The student leader said this person, Aloysius Howe, was drunk, to use the terminology, that he was drunk on campus and tried to, and the lady did not like the idea that she was being touched or whatever it was by Aloysius. That was the student explanation. So based on that, especially seeing drunkenness on the campus, it did not go well with them. So they decided to escort him out of the campus, because they expect the campus to be a place where you restore morality, you uphold morality. And so having students at campus that's supposed to be learning for that are learning to become better citizens, you can't have somebody who is intoxicated to be on campus and misbehaving. So based on that, they escorted him. That's what they said in their press statement.
Do you buy that?
Well, I respect that. I respect what they say. I can't say I'm buying it, but that's the explanation to justify their action.
And did you hear the explanation of Aloysius Howe?
I did not listen to the explanation, but I watched the video. They were calling him rogue. To me, it's a form of protest. I didn't really see them beating him or do anything to him. I haven't listened to the explanation, of course, but that's what that's the video I saw coming from the campus of the University of Liberia.
Mr. Moba Kasele, you've been on those you've been on the campus there, and the students we clearly see they hit him, they were smashing his car, and they were calling him rogue. What was his crime?
Prince and everybody on the platform knows the history of the Vanguard Student Unification Party and the history of student activism at the University of Liberia. The Student Unification Party is noted for standing up against tyrants in Liberia's history, particularly in our contemporary history. The Student Unification Party served as a breeding ground for the revolutionary struggles that took place in Liberia. We all know a few months back, Aloysius Howe's name was mentioned in the corruption saga alleges, and how he received thousands of dollars, to do social media publication for alleges. We are talking about a much publicized and controversial census, and that has been aching the Liberian population in general. And when you have a government that does not protect its citizens' rights and give them the platform to express themselves and hold people accountable, you have the public that want to hold people accountable. If President Weah and the CDC-led government had ensured that Aloysius Howe and all other persons who are alleged to have been involved in acts of corruption face justice, they would have mitigated what happened at the University of Liberia. What the students actually did was to stand up for the people, was just to speak up for the people. In fact, I am baffled that he landed in hospital. I don't know whether there was another attack on him, because what we witnessed in that video couldn't clearly have landed Aloysius Howe in the hospital, because we did not see somebody physically harming him. Yes, there were sounds. They may
You
have
saw people hitting him, right?
where
I did not see anybody hitting him.
when he got in the car, somebody attempted hitting him, but I didn't see somebody hitting him. Somebody attempted hitting him, and
You
other
heard the
students, in fact,
sound of smashes and whatever they were throwing at the
when he
car. You
drove
heard
up,
sound.
if there was, I mean, I don't know the veracity of what really hit his car, but that sound came
See,
from the back
somebody,
of the car.
somebody just touched the car.
People were knocking the car, obviously, and even if someone threw a rock, that came from the back of the car. You could not see anything landing in the, ahead of him or right to his window that would have physically harmed him. So look, I think the CDC is also using this to politicize it, and they want to use this to attack students of the University of Liberia, specifically those that are members of the Student Unification
And
Party.
quickly, the
And-
student action or the actions justified.
The same Student Unification Party stood with the CDC, and they fought against United Party officials, and they booed United Party officials, and they drove them out of the campuses of the University of Liberia. So nothing is strange. This is not strange. It is justified. The Student
Alright.
Unification Party is noted for standing for the Liberian people and fighting for the people when the government failed to fight for the people. So nothing
Thank you.
is surprising, and everything there is justified. I hope when Prince goes there, they will do the same thing to him if he steals from the Liberian people.
Thank you. Prince. Hooliganism or activism? You've been a student too.
Let me first of all say that I condemn the act that happened on the campuses of the University of Liberia. And I am really shocked, especially hearing from our mother, a female, somebody who experienced, I want to believe, the war directly or indirectly, who is also a victim one way or the other, and know what happened these 15 years of civil crisis, where lives were lost. To sit on this platform and tell us that what we are seeing in the video, as clear as it is, that it is activism, then I will not be surprised if my mother would tell me that the 15 years of civil conflict that led to the killing, the brutal, gruesome atrocity that was committed in Liberia is also advocacy. I will not be surprised. But Mr. Jai, you look at this particular video, you saw the brother in the red throwing an object at Brother Aloysius. When he went in the car, you saw someone behind the car hitting the back windshield. Play that video. Maybe she's trying to play politics, or people are trying to play politics here. Hitting the windshield, the back windshield of the vehicle. And you heard somebody in that particular video saying, oh, they damaged the main car. Oh, they damaged the main car. Play the video. They were listening to it. Now, let me say this. Those of us that are here in the United States of America and on this platform, I want to ask you a question. There are other communities in this country that people sleep on the sidewalk. Even though we are in this country where we consider, or the world may consider, as one of the richest nations, on the planet, and one of the richest nations on the planet Earth. But there are people who are living in the slums and in the ghettos. There are areas, even in our various states, that you would never believe that human being can live there. But my question is, does these people come up to attack other people who maybe are in their car, who maybe are working or are government officials? My people, let me say this Liberian way. The thing that we're not encouraged in America here, we should not encourage it anywhere. This is evil to the letter, and it must be condemned. Nobody movement should be impeded by another person for whatsoever reason. Nobody movement. We are looking at the act that was committed. Look, let me be very fair and frank with you. I'm a trained karate expert. I hold a black belt in martial art. I'm also a judo expert. I hear my mother talking that the man was drunk. When you are drunk or when you are intoxicated, so to speak, you react. There is some kind of reaction. If at all what she's saying, it is something that somebody would take. If that brother was intoxicated, he would have reacted. But you saw how calm the man was. Even in the midst of threat on his life, there were people holding weapons. You saw the other guy back. You were putting a hand at the video is right here. I'm not making up the story. Here's the video. And I will point to all these events. So for us to come here and you look at children, let's even agree that it was your children that was there. Maybe you have 2 or 3 of your children there. Fine. Look, let me just pause a bit so that we can look at the video.
Go ahead.
Fine. So look at this kind of act. Look at these young boys. Look at these future leaders. Look at people who tomorrow will be referring to as the next ministers. Or let's even move it from there. But let us ask ourselves, if your children here in the United States, assume that they were in Liberia, you send them to Liberia and say, go on the campuses of the University of Liberia and go and, at least get the basic knowledge from the University of Liberia. Will you be sitting down and be proud for your son to carry on this kind of behavior? Or even here in the United States of America? Or maybe whatever campuses that we have in our various states? So you will be excited and say your child is advocating for breaking the property of another person who they perceive maybe is however they perceive them. Must we now be attacked because of our political affiliation? But these are all the traits of the opposition. Because if we cannot holistically condemn this as Liberians that have experienced civil war and that know what violence is, then I am sorry, fellow Liberians. This is just an indication to tell you that the people are so desperate to the extent that they will even want to, eliminate somebody only to satisfy their political ambition. And I want to say to the University of Liberia, while it is true that we welcome the first step taken, but we think more should be done. The brother, he did not act alone. He acted with other people. He acted with other people. So more of such discipline that they have instituted against him should be carried on. The school is governed by handbook and constitution. What the constitution says relative to students' behavior. Look, we can advocate. I attended the African Methodist Episcopal University. On so many occasions, I went at the UL for classes because I have some of my professors.
Anybody else talk.
And these were things that were never done. But since this political desperado came to the political lifeline, we are seeing what is happening.
That's where he goes now.
We are seeing what is happening. They have inculcated violence in our children to the extent that Mr. Alexander Cummings himself, he endorsed this kind of behavior. He endorsed this behavior.
Now you're trying
Thank you, Prince. Let me go to the next. Let me go to the next person. Thank you. Let's bring on G Talk. G Talk. This is quite recently we saw the same attack on.
But Dennis, you have to make me to respond to him.
Hold on, Alice. We saw the same attack on the former Solicitor General Serena Sifos. We saw with the Vice President, she was booed. At least she was not touched. But with Aloysius Howe, we saw that clearly it was an attack. If people take laws in their own hands, whatever his crime is, are we saying this is how we should behave? As students, will we not engage this man and debate issues? Will we attack as a form of protest? What's your take?
So I think the actions a few days ago was wrong. I think it was over the board. I think the activism that they started with booing the Solicitor General or even booing the VP, I think you can consider it as an activist move. Those were moves that they were doing because they didn't want people to go on their campus, but that was also restricting their movement. But I think hooliganism is disruptive. And I think what they did 2 days ago was very disruptive. If they could have followed him, they could have continued to chant, not touch him, allow him to leave the campus. The minute they lay hands on him, I think that was wrong. And I think what was done was unfair. Now, we don't know the extent of the damage because we have no proof. We have no video recording to say, we have all the videos to say we saw them. Yes, we heard somebody hit the car. We heard that his car was hit, but we didn't see video evidence to show that. We didn't see after he left the campus what happened. So I'm going to speak about up to the point where he was able to get in his car. And once they went from screaming at him, following him, to probably touching him, I think that was wrong. And that was wrong for them to have done. But I also like to say, it is interesting that we have Prince here tonight condemning everything they've done. Further, few months back, when they had what's the thing with the young guy from LU who was also attacked?
Sisuli, Christopher Walter Sisuli.
What happened then? Did we hear Prince condemn that? Did we hear anybody from the government of Liberia condemn it? You have a group of young people who is just idle on the campus. They're just idle. They probably don't even have classes being held regularly. They probably don't have jobs. The government of Liberia has failed to be able to create substantive work for these people to get involved in to do. You will continue to see a lot of those things because the students are there. They see that they're struggling to make ends meet. Their parents probably don't have it. Some of them probably live alone, can't even find their rent money. And then they see people like Howard and who wasting money. So they are aggrieved. But two wrongs does not make it right. So I think their actions 2 days ago, if what we're seeing, because we don't have all of the video evidence, based on what we saw to the point where he was able to get in his car, I think they provoked whatever happened. And I think to an extent that was not activism any longer. They can decide and say, I mean, we all know I graduated from LU. We all know about soup. At one point in time, I was in soup. We all know that. But still, you cannot cross when you cannot say we're doing this is what we want to achieve, and then cross the line and make other people victims. So I think it was wrong. And I think if we're going to condemn this, then some of the people who are vehemently opposing what is happening now, they should have condemned what happened to Sisulu, but they didn't. I don't know if you're going to ask a question about grade, but I think the House of Representatives should have even tell him to shut up completely. You are a lawmaker. How can you become insightful? What is his point? What is he trying to prove? They continue. The CDC people has not left party mandate. That's the thing. When you all are now running a government and have been running for 4 years or going on the 5th year, this is no more about CDC. This is a government issue. You have a sitting lawmaker threatening to go on LU campus to provoke students. That's wrong. That's wrong. And he will just aggrieve students. So when they go there on Monday and they cause the students to get upset and something riots, it's wrong. Doing the rioting in the 80s at LU, we ran down Jalata and had scratches on me. It's not easy to come down a hill, down Jalata. So you can't be aggravating the situation because everybody wants to say, oh, that party, or that CDC, so we have to speak for them. No. If it's wrong, we have to say it's wrong. We have to condemn it. We have to put things in place to make sure those things don't reoccur. But we cannot aggrieve the situation like what the Representative Gray is doing. So whatever he's doing, I just think it's just total uncalled for, completely.
Thank you. Let me go to Perfect Manager.
Can I-
Perfect Manager, Alex, you want to interject something before I go to Morris?
Yeah,
Oh,
I want to inject a little bit. And because Prince's explanation seemed to be making reference to me. What I see is what I speak on. I do not condone violence in any shape or form. But the video that I look at today, no, I didn't see anybody touching him. I heard a sound. Maybe somebody hit their hand on the car. That's what I saw. I didn't see anybody throwing stones. Now, let me tell you something. I was in Liberia 2022 March and went on the University of Liberia campus where they were having Dr. Sawyer Memorial. And people dressed in CDC regalia came on campus, beat up a young man at a door, and people started throwing stones everywhere. I had to run for my life and cross the street with some. I nearly fell. Somebody had to hold my hand to cross the street to go to Capitol building to get in the car that took me. And so when the violence are taking place, something like throwing rock, then what the authority of the university is supposed to come and take action. So another thing, they don't have campus police. You making reference if my child were in high school or college, they will never do that. First of all, you need to have campus police. There's no security. I was so dumbfounded that at the University of Liberia, there was no security when these people were throwing stones everywhere. So you have to blame the government. If you have security on campus police, no student will drive the man out there. Because according to the student, he was drunk. I'm not saying it. So if he is drunk, it was the duty of the campus police to escort him out. But there's no campus police, and the police station is across the street. You can find a way to bring, security on campus for safety reasons. So you can't blame the students that are expressing their anger because they feel like somebody who deprived them. My colleague talk about corruption. So if you are not eating 24 hours, you on campus, and somebody going on campus to buy drinks and having fun, aren't you going to be upset? I was on campus at the University of Liberia before I came to the United States, and I had class with a guy that told me he was eating ground peas, 6 o'clock in the evening, and he told me the ground pea was his whole day food. Right. He never had food to eat. I couldn't believe it.
That doesn't
no. But the point is, let me tell you something. The analogy is, if he is hungry and you see government official spending money loosely on campus and intoxicated according to the students, then they will be upset.
All right. Thank you. I don't think that's a right way to channel one's anger. But let me go to Perfect Manager. Perfect Manager, what is causing this? And where are the voices of people? Is it that if the person hit or being attacked is a government official, then it's fine with people in the opposition? And if it's other way around, then we see marches. What's going on here?
So I think, Dennis, I think the young people in Liberia have been militarized by a political system of the country. Most of the young people, like Lenny said, they don't have jobs, they don't have opportunities. We have people at the university that are studying, geology, for example, or engineering, for example, that are into this military, quote unquote, or political, cadre training. And those things have made them to believe this is what a young man that is in the university is supposed to do. But this is not. It's not new. This is not a new thing that just started happening. Since the conflict, we've seen so many young people. I can name some of the CDC officials today that were parading the streets in Liberia and threatening the peace. They were throwing rocks, same way. They were lifting, caskets all around the country. They were having press conferences. and saying if the justice minister respect her man, she must stop off from she should stop us from protesting, and then we'll see what happen. Those kinds of things. What is happening in Liberia is that the police has not been able to hold people accountable for their utterance or their action or inaction. And those things because of that, there is a broken trust between the people and the security apparatus. Not because it happened in University of Liberia, so police can investigate, while the police can hold somebody accountable. When somebody die in Nima County, police kind of look at it 1 minute, 2 minutes, that's it. Nobody takes any action. And because there's no accountability in the country at all levels, look at a sitting representative. People take the trust in you as a representative.
Yes.
You go and make public pronouncement that is almost tantamount to threatening the peace in the country. Nobody hold you accountable, only because you are quote unquote a powerful person. So it's okay for a representative to do certain things, but it's not okay for a young man to do it. You see what I'm saying? So unless we hold everybody accountable at all levels, we'll continue to see these things. I'm not saying this has been going on for so long. I can name so many different instances where something like this happened and nobody will held accountable. So unless we hold people accountable at all levels, it's going to continue to happen the way they're happening. Young people are militarized in our country at every single indication. All the political thing, hearing, singing, all the things are militarizing young people. So a young man who, like I said, who's going to learn engineering, he ends up being a politician. How can a young man who learn engineering or learn chemistry or math be a politician? It's because there's no option. So the way they see their friends going, other than jumping the same bandwagon, they keep going. And I like the example that my sister Glendy G talked about with Walter Cicero when he was injured by officials of the government, and then nothing happens. But now these people are holding some of the public officials accountable because this guy's name has been used so long for corruption. Now people want to say, okay, let's hold this boy accountable. It becomes hypocrisy. We are being hypocrites. We have to be honest with ourselves.
Thank you, Mr. Kessley. Have we heard from any political leader condemning this act, or just as you said, this is activism, and so you think this is what these political parties, including your party, believe?
As I said initially, when you have a government that failed to protect the rights of its citizens, these are some of the things that happen. When the students of the Student Unification Party were attacked on January 26 in 2022, President George Weah came and announced that those who led the attack will be persecuted. What happened to the people who almost killed Christopher? They are passing around the city free. People are injured. They do not have justice. When you fail to give your people justice, you create the means for people to seek justice in different forms and manners. Prince sits here and he's trying to make it look like it is people in the opposition that are training or leading youth to be talks, which is unfortunate. Jefferson Koijee led talks at the University of Liberia. He attacked students of the Student Unification Party. He hurt them. I'm coming. I want to give you some history.
What is ANC saying about this?
My point here is what I've said this time about a number. What happened at the University of Liberia is activism. The government has failed to protect the rights of students. Jefferson Koijee took people, talks, rebels on the campus of the University of Liberia at the day they were having a sacred program in remembrance of Dr. Sawyer. He hurt students of the Student Unification Party. What did the government do? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
They sat there. They didn't even invite him to the Monrovia Central Prison. Police to even ask him a question. When they attacked Christopher Walter Cicero, what happened? All of the people who led the attack almost killed that young man. They are passing around in the city. You see that Karas Gray has threatened that he's going to the University of Liberia to go have dinner or lunch or whatsoever. The plan is to go and hurt people's children at the university. George Weah has militarized Liberia. They do not believe in state security apparatus. They believe in training talks and hooligans. You see that even the fellow who works at the MCC, a former rebel leader, he is the one now leading some of the things Jefferson Koijee is doing at the MCC. Look, It is something that Joshua and the CDC have to take responsibility for. They have failed the Liberian people, and the people feel they do not have justice from where they should be getting justice. The people feel that the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness in Liberia is no longer guaranteed by their government, and so they have to fight for it. We are in a situation of a war because people are going to bed hungry, and then people steal from them, and they go and rub it in their faces. You don't expect students to stand up and fight for the ordinary people. We have to help the students of the University of Liberia for standing up for the ordinary people. Our mothers and sisters who are dying from curable and preventable diseases because the likes of Prince who work in government in Maggie country stole money the U.S. government gave to protect those people and make sure they have health care delivery. I mean, look, this is unacceptable. We have to stand up and fight these people. The more we boo them, the more we attack them, they will stop stealing in public places.
Thank you. And you think that is going to solve the problem? Yes.
What is going to solve the problem is when we have a responsible government,
right?
That will
in the
protect
absence
the
of
rights,
the responsible government,
the people will have to fight for their country.
Thank you, Prince. Does the government share responsibility here when these things continue unabated? That in the case of Christopher Waters Susuli, the COP, CDC, those guys that were called for investigation, they're going around free. So if the citizens feel unprotected, don't you think they can take laws matters in their own hands?
Again, it beats my imagination to see people that are sitting in one of the most advanced countries in the world to be promoting violence and be healing our children who should be preparing themselves.
The top responsibility of the government is
answer the question.
I think I have a time.
The campus will have security.
I can answer the question. So please, let me be protected, please.
Go ahead, Prince. Please respond to the question. We got to move.
Yeah, respond to the
I'm giving time. So to see people here trying to pacify and glorify the situation that happened in Liberia, I think it is unfortunate. And Liberians, you people must just know the kind of people who are asking you for their votes. Having said that, under no circumstances and condition should one, under this particular democratic era in Liberia, revert to violence. I'm listening to people talking, Honorable Akara Gray say he's going to attack. It's unfortunate. You read the statement of Honorable Akara Gray on the social media. You must know that that particular university falls in his constituents, and he's once a student general and continue to remain one. His statement in no way insinuate that he's going there to incite violence or to attack people. The honorable representative has the right to go down there and meet with the students. That's why he said, I'm going there for lunch, or however they will call it. Sometimes peace deals are broken just right around the table. Or people want to tell me now they don't know conflict mitigation mechanism or how it works. People don't know that. Honorable Akara Gray going on the campus, he's going there as a lawmaker. He's going there as a former student leader. Somebody who understands, you understand the body politics of the University of Liberia, that he can sit and talk to them, that he could be the best person to be able to sit down, know their problem, know what it is, and talk to them from that particular level. So for somebody to sit here and insinuate that the message he's going there to go and attack is unfortunate. But let me say this. Yes,
you didn't answer the question, but this one.
No, you won't answer.
How you look at the brutalization of Christopher Waters Susuli?
The issue, what people fail to realize, is in the court. When that particular incident happened, it was condemned by all of us. And people concerned went to the police station. We should not pretend like we don't know what happened. All those that were involved in it were asked to go to the police station. In fact, they were arrested, so to speak, and taken to the police station.
No, they were not arrested. They were caught in, and since that they've been roaming around.
And they released them.
No, not been roaming around. No. You see, this is some of the injustice we are talking about.
The people were not even arrested. The people
Hello,
were
hello.
dressed
Let me be giving my time.
They
This is
were
not the
dressed up
injustice
in
that we are
nice
talking about.
clothes.
So if you will
Prince,
sit
we
on
know
the
some of
platform, if
them.
we
We
sit on
know
the
some of
platform
them.
and
Do
say,
that.
hello,
Hold on.
You gotta
Prince,
speak
Prince,
truth
go
to
ahead.
power.
Where you said they are arrested? Where are they now?
I said
Yes, where are
when
they?
the incident happened, they were arrested. When the
Where?
incident happened, they were
They were not.
arrested.
They were
And
not.
And
Jackson,
Don't make
where
up
statements
not?
stuff.
were
They were
taken from
not.
these people.
They were
And
not
after that,
arrested.
it was forwarded to court. As we speak now, the issue is in the process. You understand? Through the legal process. So are we saying that we must ignore the legal process? Are you saying that because you feel that it must happen just speedily, somebody must go on, how you call a firing squad, and the president go there? So you think, look, there are laws in our country. And what
Thank
we
you.
need to do is to
Justice
respect the law.
delayed is also justice
Prince,
denied.
Thank you,
Everything
Prince.
that is happening
Prince,
has
let's talk
been
about
forwarded
Prince.
to the court
Can you please
where
share? Can
the
you please share the
legal
charge sheet with
process
us?
is adequately adhered.
Yeah,
So
please
all
share.
we would
No,
say,
please share the charge sheet with us. The charge sheet that they received.
Yes.
You go to court. Please share that with us because before you go to court, the police can charge you. What are the
Yes.
charge sheet? Can you please share that with us,
He
please?
does not have it.
Thank you, guys. We're gonna move on. Thank you, and we want our viewers to also weigh in. What I see is this is hooliganism, and it continues from Christopher Sisuli to now. So something must be done. Kroma said it right that the students or the young people have been militarized, and I see that the opposition, nobody is condemning this from the opposition.
Nobody.
And this is concerning. All right, that takes us to our next issue here, which is the issue has not gone away. That's the alleged murder and assassination attempt at the home of former Chief Justice Gloria Scott. The stories are coming out from everywhere that some of us have not been able to keep up. But before we start, let me just show you a picture of the home of Gloria Scott. According to the story, there where we had an armed robber, or suppose someone who's an armed robber went there, stabbed, killed one person, injured another one. He was pepper sprayed and he ran out. Since then, there has been allegations, counter allegations. People are talking all over the place. People look so nervous. I'm wondering why. So let me play a clip showing the home of the former Chief Justice, and we'll start from there.
Welcome back. I'm still here in the compound of the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, Councillor Gloria Scott, who served from 1997 to 2003. It was reported by 11 p.m. last night that her daughter, a senior student of the Stars University, got stabbed multiple times by assassin, and one the other female.
Let me show some. These are all pictures of your home. Let me show some. These are all pictures of your. Ever since this happened, we had a Councillor Verdier who revealed that this was put out some names out there. We saw the press conference from the city mayor. We saw his lawyer with him. We also saw the press conference of MCC. We saw the press conference or the statement from the CDC chairman, Mombat Molu, and all the things have been happening. I don't know if anybody is as confused as I am as to really what is the truth in this story. Mr. Kesseley, what comes to your mind? A lot of things happening here. What's your sense of who's telling the truth?
You see, when the government is always in a defensive mode, they create the breeding grounds for most of the things we see happening. And what you see surrounding the attack on Justice Scott is a clear example of how this government is failing us. I mean, I said it last week. The police is very unprofessional. The police is a partisan police. Instead of staying above the fray, the police is now part of the problem, which is why no matter how they do it, there will not be justice at the end of the day. Look, I'm not trying to speak for Justice Scott, but say Justice Scott was involved or did something wrong. With the way the police has unprofessionally handled the situation, nobody will believe anything they say. Because in the first place, they play as though they were a party to what had happened, instead of playing an independent role and trying to find out exactly what transpired and giving the Liberian people this, a very clear display of everything, and then see who will be charged for the attack. They took a partisan posture. They started to attack Justice Scott immediately. They started to make denigrating comments against Justice Scott. The president did not try to even reach out to the family. The CDC chairman came out. He made statements. And by the way, the president is on record for even deciding cases before the police can even come up to a conclusion. What we see here is a mirage, a clear violation of the rights of Liberian citizens, and another classic display of irresponsibility, another classic display of incompetence by the police first and the whole government in general. Look, the police and the government will have handled this case in a professional manner to gain the public trust. The public has no trust in the justice system. Now, you see that people are supporting Justice Scott protesting. The police and the government, they're having their own people making comments. Justice Scott is making comments. Who do we believe? You have created the breeding ground for misinformation. So there's nothing now happened. I mean, this case, unfortunately, Musu was killed, and there'll be no justice at the end of the day, because look, we have an irresponsible government, and these are the things that create a breeding ground for people to attack government officials on the grounds of the University of Liberia. You have to be responsible when things happen. The government always has to stay above the fray.
Mama, before I go to Morris, do you think Councillor Scott or Justice Scott had a role to play in this, that she has not done everything right to be able to avoid some of this confusion?
I mean, the police confused Justice Scott. So let's start with the police first.
Yeah, I know. I get the police. The police did not. I was expecting the police to just go in, barricade the place, and start investigating right away. They didn't do that. But has Justice Scott also helped with the confusion?
No. Justice Scott, as a matter of fact, feels that her person was under attack by the state. Justice Scott is afraid for her life. So that's the point. You understand that instead of trying to investigate what happened, the police has started to portray Justice Scott not as a victim, but as a perpetrator of the act that happened at her home. So, I mean, even though they do not have any scientific reason or any forensic grounds to tell us that Justice Scott is actually the perpetrator instead of a victim, they started to do that.
But Moba, is it uncommon to hold people in the same house as suspect until?
No, it is. It is not uncommon to hold people as suspects, but you have to do it in a professional way. You cannot be gossiping. The police has to stay above gossips. People can perpetrate attacks against themselves, but that's where professionalism comes into play. That's where we're talking about the forensics department of the police. That's where you come in. I mean, how many DNA samplings did they get from the home when it happened? Did they go and check the keys, the doors to make sure the fingerprints that were there? How many fingerprints did they get from the home? Look, we're talking about an unprofessional police force here.
Thank you, Mr. Kroma. Who's telling the truth here?
I think, Dennis, so there are too many unanswered questions. And I say this because I've been following keenly. When I listened to the police director when he went to the Senate, he demonstrated complete incompetence and ignorance about what security issues are about. He made some statements, and I'll give you an example of some of the things he said. He said, from the time that they received the call to the time that they show up, he said it was within 15 minutes. He said, I challenge anybody to show that we're not in 15 minutes from the time we received the call. Well, we don't know what time he received the call. We can't show, any evidence of that. But in that same statement, he said that the police checkpoint that they have in the area is very close to where the Chief Justice lives. He said they are very close margin. He said every time she passes in, they can see her going to her house. So it's not far away. But the community members that Front Page Africa interview, they say it took the police at least, hour and a half, 2 hours to show up. So if you measure the time that from the checkpoint to the Chief Justice house by the police director account, if he says that they are not that far away, then why did it take them so long to show up at the former Chief Justice house? The other part also is that when I listen to the Koijee and the guy that Verda is accusing, there are missing information from the explanation. When they ask Koijee about whether he can even acknowledge that this guy worked for the MCC, he couldn't even make that. He couldn't even accept that he knows the man work for MCC. That shows some kind of fishy thing. The guy on the explanation, I'll just leave that alone because he can't say anything. He just saying a very short thing. He said, well, he didn't even know about it. Somebody called him on the phone and told him, said they saw a picture on social media and said that he shot somebody. If that is the case, why the police can go into the media company, the phone company, and summon the phone record of this guy to know at what time of that night, because he claimed that he slept at the city hall that night. So if you check his phone record, you'll know how many phone calls he made that night, who he called that night, all those people that he called. The police can go to them and say, okay, we're asking you a question about what kind of conversation you and the president had that particular night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever time. The police can actually lead that investigation to that process. But on the other side, with the Chief Justice herself, she herself have not been able to explain exactly what happened as well. There are still some missing information from her that she needs to be able to account for. If you say you spray somebody with pepper spray, did you recognize the person? What did the person look like? Short, fat, tall, dark, light. The person wore shorts, they wore t-shirt. Did you see the person leave? What side did the person leave from? Because if the person had pepper spray, you may have seen them run away. What route did the person use? Did they jump over the fence? Did they go outside the fence door? Those kinds of answers need to be, those things. She needs to explain more. I don't know. Maybe like Moba said, maybe she doesn't trust the police. Maybe she has some trust issues with them. Maybe that's why she's not explaining. But all of those things, all of those missing puzzles need to be joined. That's the only way we'll know exactly how this thing, how this thing turned out.
And how difficult is it to corroborate or reject what Councilor Verdia said, describing the person, and now you see Valley. I don't know what's hard about that. What do you think of that?
It's not difficult. It starts with the police. The police needs to show some sort of professionalism and objectivity, that they don't have a side in this thing. They want to get to the bottom of it. For the police that the Senate force the police to call Jefferson Koijee and that guy to come to the police station to explain. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come there. But because when they asked him at the Senate, have you asked this guy? This guy has a picture on social media with a gun in his hand. Have you ever investigated where the guy got the gun from? Because nobody's supposed to own gun in Liberia. If this guy has a gun, then it's red flag. Have you even asked the question about what? Forget about the Gloria Scott thing. The guy has a gun on social media. Did you find out what time that picture was taken, where he got the gun from? Those kinds of answers. They haven't answered those questions. That one made him to say, okay, the man will show up tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock in the morning to the police station. That was almost 3 days after the incident have taken place. And social media are carrying the man picture all over the place. So the police have demonstrated complete incompetence. They have no idea. They have lost the trust from the public. But like I said, I think, even the former Chief Justice have some questions to answer as well.
Prince, there has been outright attack by many seditions, I would say, led by the CDC chair, the chairperson, Momba Molu, on Justice Scott, who is a victim in this case. We saw that by the time Councilor Verdia said this, we saw the city mayor and MCC, Mr. Teller, all being nervous. What you make of this case, and how has the attack on the person of Councilor Scott by memos, many seditions, show also that the police is kind of taking side in this case, and is making it very difficult for people to trust them. Do you see it that way?
Thank you. Let me first of all condemn the gruesome murder of one of our daughters, one of our sisters, and a promising leader. And I want to say here that particular incident was a domestic violence.
What do you draw?
Let's first of all look at the statement that was made by Councillor Scott. This is somebody who told the Liberian people when she was asked, as it relates to the identity of the person in terms of whether gender or whatever. She said it, and the clip is there, that wherever that information is coming from, let them carry it to Verdi. That Verdi will answer that other question. She said it, the clip is there, right at the police station. Let's look at the second statement of Madam Gloria Scott, Councillor Gloria Scott. Under no circumstances and condition, I'm a security person. I know how these things operate, at least to some extent. I'm not an expert, on it, but I know how it operates.
Black belt.
For someone to use a spray, especially looking at the closeness, and pepper spray your eyes, and yet you are able to take a cell phone and a laptop to walk out of the place. Do you know how long it takes for pepper spray to leave the eyes of the victim? So you want to tell me within that period, especially looking at the closeness, within that period, the man was sitting down, watching his face or waiting, and everybody was waiting for him. Look, let's start playing fun here, and let's start playing politics out of this. Let's ask the other question. When last we got to realize that somebody else was in her house? All of us on this platform, do you know that she had somebody in her house, with the exception of the normal names that we're calling? Do you know that somebody was in the house with her? No, we don't know. But this information are coming up. Let us also look at the place the girl was. So let's agree that she was attacked by an alleged, I don't even want to bad us. I don't want to say it because this would be a disrespect to this girl to say, I'm robber. Look, people should start playing politics out of the life of somebody who is valuable. Let's look at where she was in the bathroom. So, what was she doing in the bathroom? What was she doing in the bathroom? That is one. Number two, listening to the security. The security said when they attempted to go in the building, they were stopped. They were stopped. That no, don't go in the building. Don't go there. Look, our people can say nobody's stupid here. Nobody should play fun out of us. It is clear that that particular girl was murdered. She was murdered not by any armed. Look, let's start playing this fun. Not by any armed robber. Some of us, we know how these people look. We are not kids.
Prince, how do you know that this was domestic violence?
Thank you.
The police report.
From my own investigation, as Prince Sheriff, from my own investigation, there has been some level of domestic violence in that particular house. That is the first thing. There has been some level of domestic violence in that particular house.
Prince,
that is one.
Let us not make this kind of allegations.
It's not a comedy show, man.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You have security background, you said. You wouldn't be here and investigate, right?
It is unfortunate if you say I will not be here and investigate. Right. I can be here and know what happened in Maryland. I have my sources all over the entire Republic of Liberia. I can tell you what is happening in New York.
Most sophisticated in the LMP. Then go take over the investigation, man.
Just 2 hours from now. So to say that I'm on the, so then how Verdi got to know that Talia entered? These are some of, I'm coming and give me chance. Hello.
You so informed. How did you not know that the people who attacked Sisulu was not arrested? How did you not know that? You have sources everywhere.
Glendy, hold on. Let Prince land. Prince.
Okay, so if you are questioning,
Prince.
Let me lay on this now.
Evidence that this was domestic violence. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, I am saying that this was a domestic violence because from our sources on the ground, there has been some level of, in-house, somebody would say, confusion.
Right.
The people on the ground who confirm it, that there has been some level of, misunderstanding in the area there. And if you try to question my ability of knowing, then you must also question the ability of Jerome Verdier, because what you are saying here is based on the allegation. No, it's based on the allegation of Jerome Verdier. So you are saying that because he say so that true. My own that are saying it's not true. But let me say this.
I did not talk about Jerome Verdier. I'm asking you, what's the evidence that this was a domestic violence?
Judging from what we are seeing, judging from what I am seeing.
There's no evidence. That's assumption.
No. There is an evidence. There is an evidence. The first thing is that if somebody is sprayed, pepper spray, especially as the counselor said, looking at the closeness that she was talking about, because she said I engaged the person, it will take time for that particular spray to leave that person's eyes. That is one. Number two,
for the evidence.
Number two, where did the alleged criminal or armed robber pass?
I gotta move on. You don't have the evidence.
Where did the alleged criminal and armed robber pass?
You can ask those
that is
questions.
Number two.
You don't have evidence that this was domestic violence.
We have it. That is what I'm saying. We have the evidence that it was a domestic violence. Now,
share the evidence.
No, but we can share. I can share my evidence here on Facebook. We give it to the requisite authority.
Thank you. Let me move on to the next.
The last thing, Mr. Jen, you are not giving me adequate opportunity to express my thought as you are giving to others.
Because you are not giving me the evidence. I don't want us to use this platform.
But I have my time. So am I operating based on time, or is based on how you feel about my response?
No,
so that I can know.
Yeah, how I feel.
Oh, that how you feel. Oh, but how you feel then? Well, I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here. Right. But if that is how you feel, then I'm sorry that this platform today, maybe another day it will be for me, but today is not for me, because it's how you feel.
I can make the discretion. If you are not answering the question, we can move on.
Then it means that if that's how you feel, then I'm sorry. Then I will have to take my exit, because I think it should be on the basis of our time. There are times allocated.
You have the time, but if
you've given other people, you have given other people the time. You have given other people the time. So I think you should give me the time to be able to explain. But unfortunately, I'm either being interrupted by somebody else. And let me say this: I respect the fact that you have given me the opportunity, to be here. I don't want anybody to see it as a means of maybe disrespect or so. But I don't want to be on a show. I am not just an ordinary person. I come here in a very well-seasoned capacity. So to come here and somebody will tell me, I will give you time based on your feeling. They are begging you, my people. The other show here today are not enough for me. So let me take my exit, please.
Thank you.
With no disrespect.
Right, but let me explain to you that.
No, I'm not running away. I'm not. It's just that the way the show is going.
But we can't use speculation here.
Hold on, friends. You have enough time, and after your time, I ask you a specific question. To produce the evidence, because we want to use the platform responsibly. If we are making these kind of charges and you cannot present the evidence, you are saying based on these things, I'm saying give us the evidence, because we don't want to promote and
all of the previous focus, all of the previous people that spoke here, did they give you evidence here?
All right. Let me.
You making me say I'm talking some English. They want to talk, but anyway, I'm not English man. I'm man from local. I'm from Granky Bank County. So all the people did they give you evidence? I must give my evidence to you. Then you telling me that you did this time based on your feeling. Then I'm sorry. This platform today is not for me. Another time will be here. But if you will judge me based on your feeling and give me time, then mean that today I will not even talk.
I have the discretion to move on if you are not answering the question. That's why I'm moderating the show. But let me go to Glendy.
Yes.
Glendy, we're talking about who's talking the truth here, because we have seen a lot of statements, a lot of conflicting statements, and a lot of unanswered questions from the side of Justice Scott, the police, the city mayor, Valley Teller, Councilor Verdier, all these statements. Who's telling the truth?
So I like what I think Krama spoke a little bit earlier. It's kind of sad. And just to also allude to what Moba said, the incompetence, the gross incompetence of the Liberian police has led us to all sorts of speculations. We are even now trying a course in the court of Facebook. In the court of Facebook is what we're trying this case. Initially, when this incident, when this threat or whatever it was, when Justice Scott called the police and said that she had armed robbery in her home or she was at risk, according to the police director, he told her, he said he advised her to get private security. That's where the incompetence. Let's go back to the business and see where did we go off. That's where we should start from. These are people that are clothed, that should be clothed with the proper authority to be able to advise their citizens on how to be safe. When they were called, he advised her to get private security, to point out to the Constitution and says everybody has a right to be protected and to feel safe, and the government owes them that right. So how can you come now? It's difficult for me to see. In as much that I sympathize with the bereaved family and what has happened, but there are instances where we have to say we're confused. Everybody has an opinion now. Everybody, me too, and I'm black belt, but I must say I get my own suspicion. I don't have the prerequisite security knowledge, but I can try the case too and say to you, Dennis, the others here, and that's some woman I know about security business. I mean, it's a serious issue that have become a mockery of our entire judicial system. It's serious. That people now are going, even the interview with Justice Scott. I do not. I am telling you, Justice Scott is a seasoned lawyer. But the situation now and the way things have played out, there are so many people that have doubts about her credibility because of how it has played out in front of us. And even myself, in sympathy with her and her family, because we have some close ties, I cannot ignore that fact, because everything now is playing out in the public eye. Yeah. So I saw that Prince Sheriff is able to come here and judge the case and tell you right away that it was a domestic crime with no evidence. This is wrong. When we are a people who are learned it and we know better, we must do better. If Prince Sheriff, I'm sorry I have to pick on him. If he is as experienced as he purports himself to be, then he should know better. You can't go and say, oh, it's a domestic crime. So you look at, this is the first thing, Dennis. The incident happened on Wednesday night or Thursday morning. The newspaper people, let me go into colloquial English. Newspaper people were able to go in the yard, go all around. No secure, the area was not secure. The area was not even named a crime scene. Has any lab been done? Was any blood test done? There was a knife. Did they test the blood that was on the knife? What has the police done that we can see? What they did initially was to act like they were being accused. And not to say, let's make sure we perform our duty correctly so that no one holds us responsible. At one point in time, the police director I even have a special name for him. I won't say it here. But the incompetence is just mind-boggling. We have to know better. We have to do better. But right now, as it is, poor and peace be to Charlotte and the fact that she had to die the way she did. But we don't know. We don't even know if this case will even be tried. Because it's almost like you have Mulva Molu, who's supposed to be trying to talk about getting people to vote for we are. He coming out in the public and acting like he's a lawyer and saying how people should be, what qualifies one to become a daughter. How dare he even do that? What gave him the impetus? Papa used to say impetus to even do that. To come out, you are a chairman for a political party. You come out, you go straight into a case business. That is because the government we have, the heightened incompetence that we see, if we don't know, if we don't act like we know better, we will continue to fall into this kind of trap here. So we don't know. Nobody knows who's telling the truth.
So let's end with this one on the same case. Is Mayor Koijee a victim here or a perpetrator? Mr. Koijee was accused by Councillor Verdier, and this is not the first time that Councillor Verdier has accused Mayor Koijee for other things. Is Mayor Koijee a victim here or perpetrator? Glenda, you go first.
Dennis, you better want me to answer that.
Yeah. You can also pass as your right.
Koijee, from what we've seen and what has played out for such a young man to always be named in some form of wickedness, is not a victim. Any atrocity, his name must be called. We go to tell a U.S. story. He was a part of that. We go to even the Sisulu thing. He was a part of that. There is every form of atrocity.
Has there been any evidence? Has there been any evidence linking Mayor Koijee to these things? Or this
so this is the thing. Why is it that Dennis John name is not called on any other situations? Why have you not been named?
That's not enough.
Why, I understand that, but why must his name come up all the time? Is he the only one why are they not calling other people's name? Why are they not calling Twer's name? Why are they not calling Musa Dean's name? Why are they calling what is wrong with Jefferson Koijee that he has to be named in every atrocity that is in Liberia? Why him? Why not someone else?
Thank you. Maybe Prince can tell us. Prince, is Mayor Koijee a victim here or a perpetrator? I mean, people are calling his name, and so far I have not seen any evidence or he's been taken to court of what he's done. What's going on with Mayor Koijee here?
Let me say that the name of the mayor will continue to be called in the political history of the Republic of Liberia. Even after our generation, people will call his name. You know, I can understand that most people who want to be, they've come in this particular political arena to please themselves and they don't know the way out, will continue to blame other people for their unfortunate circumstances and situation. The honorable mayor is a victim of lies, propaganda, innuendos that have no level of truth behind it, and only because there are other people who feel that he is occupying one of the most respected and sensitive position in the role that he has played, as you know, as young as he is, that some of them have failed their generation and they have not proven anything of any political relevance. So today they are coming at him. We go back to this. You are talking about evidence and you're telling me that you're judging me based on the way I answer questions. All the people that are talking here, they gave you evidence? No, they ain't giving you evidence. They are talking on how they feel. They are talking on their own feeling. But me now, you say, oh, I produce evidence, so you will judge me by that, you will move on to me, you will interrupt me. But that's not the issue here. Today, here, and I'm moving from here until other while order. I will be here. Now, for you to sit and listen to what Verdier said, and you are ignoring the fact that Madam or Councillor Scott is saying or is disassociating herself from the statement that is made by Verdier, this is something that we should not be discussing here. It shows to everybody on this platform, to those that are listening, how biased people are. And I want to be very specific how biased you are. Because the person will get their problem, they say, you don't call that man me on my team. They think what that man say, that own setting. Then you want us to be discussing it. I think it's unfortunate. And that's what I'm saying, that whatever the honorable mayor is going through, he's a victim of just people's feelings. And his name will not stop being mentioned in our Liberian politics because of what he's doing. There's a young man who is doing exceptionally well. Since 1847 up to today, there have never been a young man in our political history that has been very, very, very meticulous, that have been very focused, that have been result-oriented as Jefferson Koijee. So I will understand when pay agents of Mr. Alexander Cummings are coming up and giving knee. Oh, the man did this, the man did that, the man did that, and other things. But we're not listening to Jerry Vedder because we know that he's a patient of mental disorder. That's the best thing I can say here to him.
Thank you. And again, we don't want to go that route because you are not the man or clinician to diagnose him. So you can make these things. We just want to keep it civil and clean. Let me go to you, Mr. Koijee. Mr. Koijee, you too, like Jefferson Koijee, a youth leader. And I know how you youth leaders are, very, active. In fact, you started saying the indomitable. And every time we hear those kind of language, think of when Koijee was the youth wing leader during the opposition day of CDC. Is Jefferson Koijee a victim here or a perpetrator? What, as Glendy said, his name is in everything. What's going on here? You know about youth, leading the youth.
Let's go a little bit back before I can give you an answer. During the heydays of the Liberian civil crisis, Jefferson Koijee lived with Chucky Taylor, and he saw and directly may have participated in some of the things Chucky Taylor did.
Well, those were not the heydays. Let's
Chucky Taylor killing people around here.
The heydays of the war.
Yeah, those were the heydays. Are you kidding? But anyway,
nothing necessarily can be the hit. The hit is like 1991, 92, 93.
I lived through the war, and you want to
exactly.
Tell me
no, 1991, 92. People were not being killed as much as
already president. It can't be the hit.
But he killed people miserably.
Anyway, yeah,
on
go
an
ahead.
uncountable level. But the point here is that owing to his violent past, when Jefferson Koijee came to the government, we expected that his role in government would have brought some level of sanity to him and that he would have changed. Unfortunately, when the first attack happened in District 13, it was led by Jefferson Koijee, the attack against Cornelius Kratopa. When the other attack happened against Telia Ure in District 14, it was led by Jefferson Koijee. When the attack happened against the police deputy director Siako, it was led by Jefferson Koijee. When the attack happened at the University of Liberia on the day they were having the memorial service for Dr. Sawyer, it was led by Jefferson Koijee. The CDC COP is funded and trained by Jefferson Koijee, who has a gang of rebel leaders or former rebel leaders behind him, Jefferson Koijee. So I mean, the young man
he has made some statements along those lines.
I'm coming to that, by the way, because that's very important. Jefferson Koijee said
let's be brief. My callers are already telling me
wait, I mean, we'll answer the question. Jefferson Koijee said that if people think they can speak and talk and threaten their democracy, they will fight for that democracy. Jefferson Koijee makes it look like the democracy we enjoy in Liberia is for him and the CDC, and that anyone who disagrees with George Weah becomes an enemy and they will attack you and they will fight for that democracy. What has Justice Scott been doing? She has been speaking against the government. So Jefferson Koijee is fighting for his democracy. He's fighting for his government. He's fighting for what they fought for, what they struggle for. So he is not a victim. He is a perpetrator. As a matter of fact, if the police are serious, Jefferson Koijee should be under investigation. He and his rebel leader at MCC, they should be under investigation today, and we trying to send them to court. It's simple as that.
And just to be clear, all those instances you name, do we have actual proof that he was leading those attacks?
I mean, we have photos to prove them. We have photos to prove them. He did not deny them.
Thank you. Mr. Krumah, as I'm hurrying up to bring on my colors, we've seen a lot of protests because of this. People are protesting everywhere. We saw all women protests, CDC women protests, women under the umbrella of the protest, Unity Party women protesting. What's different about this this murder or this killing, this incident this time that is making everybody to come out? Are they politicizing it? Is it a polarization of our politics? Or is it genuine protest? Because we've seen other deaths and there has not been this much protest. Or because it's a big woman's daughter. What's going on?
I think it's a combination of plenty of different things, Dennis. in a situation like this, there is a long history of mysterious deaths that have been happening in the country over the last 5 years, all across the country, different counties and all these different places. So it takes one incident to inspire action. And maybe because, Gloria Scott is a prominent woman in the country and that death happened within her compound, that may have inspired some of the action. It may have been inspired by some of the politics of the country. It may be inspired by the insecurity, the police incompetence. We can't even say that even more than what we're saying right now, because just recently, I think 2 or 3 days ago, we saw another video on social media of somebody with a gun who they said either assigned to one of these former ministers or so. I'm not even sure, but there's a video of the guy owning 2 guns and driving around in the city with it. And there is complete law in Liberia where no private citizen is supposed to own gun. And I want to piggyback over what Moba was just saying. In District 13, there is evidence of Koijee in the district doing some of the things that happened during Cornelia Cora time when she was contesting for the district seat. But to say whether he's a victim or you're a perpetrator or whatever it is, we don't know. We can't say that because we don't have the evidence. But the one thing I want to point to is that if we take Verdia's statement and say this is what Verdia has said.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, this is actually the video of this guy owning 2 guns, and they say he's a driver for one of the ministers in the CDC government. But if you take Verdia's statement, Dennis, and say, okay, let's take Verdia's statement for what it's worth. It's worth $1. Let's say this is Verdia's statement that is worth $1. Verdia made a claim about a blue pickup truck that was used in one of the incidents of one of the people that passed away. But Verdia did not know who owned the pickup until somebody came and claimed that, yeah, this pickup is mine. And the person confirmed that the city mayor is the one that called him to ask him to use his pickup that night. And that same person claimed that this person that is working the city mayor office, now the Valley Teller guy, is the guy that he instructed to give the pickup to Jefferson Koijee. So if that guy's statement also is something that for us to go with, then there is some level of corroboration that we can connect with Verdia's statement. I don't have the facts. I'm just assuming based on what I've heard so far. Those are reasonable connections that you can make just based on what people are saying all around. You see what I'm saying? But we can connect that to the Councilor Gloria Scott because we don't know for now. They said the pickup is still parked in Prestige Motor, at least from what the owner said on Spoon. So there are so many things that Koijee is connected with that can definitely connect him to a lot of crimes in the country.
Thank you. The number to call, please, is 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Let's hear from Mrs. Moba as we bring in our callers. Jefferson Koijee, victim or perpetrator, and also the woman protesting. Are they doing pick and choose here, or are we going to see more of that? And our callers, please, place your call. We're going to open the phone lines in the next 2 minutes. Alice, please unmute yourself. Okay, go ahead. You're live now. Go ahead.
Okay, Jefferson Koijee was named by Councilor Jerome Verdier. Now, if somebody names you, what is your duty? You have to ask for evidence. You have to be upset. Show some emotion that you don't like what is being said about you. I did not see that. Jefferson Koijee, who was named by Verdier, decided to put up $5,000. $5,000 to help police with investigation. That was creepy because they name you as a suspect. So what is the purpose of the money? To bribe the police or to do what? I have never said. And so little things that he did that would make people to implicate him. But for me, I'm not really sure whether he is a victim or he is a perpetrator. But those signs that he's showing are not good. And talking about a woman, I think it's a little bit too much. I mean, I know it's good to sympathize with people, but there are too many groups. We had the largest women groups since I can remember that went to the Capitol building, and even though they were under the umbrellas of the female lawyers, but there were different women. But now it reduced to parties. You got CDC, you got LP, you got Unity Party. So what happened to other parties? It's still going to be going on and on and on. If we want to have female students, so I think, a little bit becoming the politicalization of everything. So I think it's time for us to, slow down and come together as women to sympathize, as opposed to having all these different groups for the same purpose.
Thank you, Mrs. Morba. If you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, this is Friday Night Debate. We are talking about some trending issues here, and it's time to bring in our callers. Callers, please, you have a minute each to ask your question or make your statement. The first here is Aaron Pobler. Aaron, you're live. Go ahead, Aaron, you are live.
Hey, Dennis.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
How you guys doing?
Excellent. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Great conversation. Let me address two things here, please. The first one would be the university campus issue. I'm just surprised to hear carefully. I expect you to be a very smart guy to stay on, the platform and say, what the students are doing on the university campus is advocacy. I mean, how does someone advocate like that? You understand? I mean, you gotta wait for a government official to come on the campus before you advocate. Is that what you went there to learn for? It's sad to look at, people to applaud people who's supposed to be learning something for tomorrow. I mean, they're on campus doing those kind of things. So it's not right. It's not right. Those are things that we need to speak against. And lastly, let me talk about the issue with Justice Scott. So Dennis, my suggestion to you is if you want to talk about this Justice Scott issue, bring some law enforcement professionals.
We did already.
Tell you or tell people how they conduct investigation, because if somebody comes up, or even if the police, if something happens, if the police say, oh, something such happened, if somebody want to give up a name to the police, they will not go on a public platform and say, Aaron Public did it. Okay? They will not do that. Okay? Councilor Gloria is a lawyer. He's not supposed to do that. So you expect the police to act on that? And then the mayor came up to make a statement to clear his name, and you guys saying he was wrong for doing that, putting up or ransom money because he wants to clear his name. It happens every day in America.
Thank you, Aaron.
I mean, people just confuse people every day because of political affiliation. That's bad.
Yes. Thank you. And we had a law enforcement officer, and we went through the case. So we had a law enforcement officer here. We work with the Prince George's Police, also a criminal justice practitioner. Let me bring on the next caller here. That's Mr. Elvis Morris. Mr. Morris, you're live. 1 minute, please.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Hello to your panelists. And quickly, with the university protests, quote-unquote protests, what was the guy accused of stealing? The money that he was paid was because of his influence. He has a very popular Facebook page. The government paid him through the Ministry of Finance to publicize the census. You know, so there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people here are looking for government contract in their country because they know it can be lucrative. So there's nothing wrong with it. He didn't steal public funds money. He wasn't any position of trust that he stole money from the people of Liberia. So nobody should make it seem like he's corrupt. And then secondly, to the Justice Ministry, the former Chief Justice, we have evidence, and I know Prince didn't point to it, but the reality is the pastor who went there to mitigate between the two sisters, Princess and Musu, there has been previous incidents of fights between the two of them. There's been domestic violence between the two sisters that was living in that house, the both of them who got injured. The pastor who actually was taking a girl to the hospital when she died in his car. Or in the car. The pastor said that there's been fights between the two sisters before. So that's how we know that there's been domestic violence in the house. So some people who don't really follow the case closely, just because something you don't know, don't mean it's not true. And you ain't more by saying it. Maybe he in America, or maybe he planned to stay here forever. But if you're playing like, bro, you don't know you're part of the ANC youth wing. Maybe when they were in power, people will perceive him to be corrupt, and they will start chasing him and beating him in the street. So if you don't think about your own well-being and trying to propagate that it's the right thing for the student unions to do, no problem. They say not days for work, one day for the master.
Right.
They'll catch you there too.
Evans, before you leave, you said because pastor went there to mitigate and said there has been instances of fight. That is still not an evidence. So you could say it's possible, but to say this is the evidence.
I know, right?
Said there's been evidence.
No, I'm talking to you.
Violence. That's what he's talking about.
No, but that's
I'm just buttressing what he said because he didn't put that part up.
But that's not an evidence, right? That could be a lead, something that
this
is possible, right? I just want us to be clear.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There has been evidence of it. Nobody is saying that you just girl.
No. Is there evidence that the death occurred as a result of domestic violence?
No, that's not what I'm pointing to. I'm pointing to the two sisters. That's what I'm saying. The two sisters had.
But the two sisters arguing her is that evidence that she died.
Some of us will even having previous arguments.
Who Mr. Jah, who were injuring the kids? Were the Chief Justice staff?
No. I'm saying because you're an intelligent man. That's why I'm taking this time to talk to you about this. Still, there is no evidence that this girl died from domestic violence. That's what I want us to be clear on. That could be your lead.
There are evidence.
No,
you saw the road.
Right? So
we're going off the fact that the two sisters fought before the pastor came to mitigate.
So when you and Webb argue, they have him accuse you?
I get that. Evans, don't start this. Because of that, the police can use that to investigate, but you can't say this is the evidence that she killed her.
No, I'm not saying that was the cause of her murder. I was just backing up what Mr. Sharif was saying.
All right.
Where everybody tried to jump on him and say there's no evidence of it. But I'm giving.
But it's still no evidence. What he said was still not evidence. Like USA.
A lot of people coming.
All right, thank you. Let me bring in Mr. John Mawulo. John, you're live.
Yeah, good evening to you and all your panelists. Let me address the first thing here about the former Chief Justice daughter and herself. If we must stoop to the foolishness of the CDC and their life. Listen, they want to pretend like they care. When last did they start caring? There have been so many deaths. CDC never cared. And then now, when they are accused directly of doing it, they come and sympathizing first with the family, and immediately after accuse the family of killing each other. Listen, are we trying to say that the two other times the Chief Justice reported that her house had been burglarized by armed robbers, was she planning all that time for the two girls to fight? If we must stoop down to that kind of foolishness? Was she planning that they will fight 2 days after the burglars have come to her house twice, that she had to reinforce her door and protect herself? Let's stop this kind of nonsense talk. If we don't know, how come only CDC know about who confessed what? Are the people confessing to the CDC yard or they confessing to the police? Because what they're saying, even the people in the family don't know about that. So are you trying to tell me that they coerced the whole neighborhood who were in the yard at the time, calling the police to be a part of the murder that they wanted to commit. We got to be more sensible in our country when we're hearing foolishness and be able to dissect it.
Thank you.
There is nothing in this whole talk that can make sense. Now, give me 1 minute. Let me address this CDC and LU children. The very Aquarius Gray and the Toy and all of them, they were part of that same soup. This is what soup does.
I don't think 12 were part of soup. I don't believe so.
12 was part of soup.
No,
that is false. You see, these are how people come with. You were never part of soup.
No,
the
big
no,
thing that
12 was the member of student.
After the children have booed somebody and wooed two of their officials out of campus, if he say he's going there to have lunch, that means he's going there to be fined.
Yeah, but let's start with the students. Talk to the action of the student first. You come into grade first. Start with the students. You think that was activism or mob justice?
It can be mob justice because they didn't beat on anybody. They just booed him out of the campus.
They hit him.
So activism.
They actually hit him. They hit him. They smashed his car.
No, they didn't.
Where are the pictures?
I can't leave the place there. They had no smashing on it.
Oh, you saw you.
I saw him enter his car, and nobody was beating him at the time.
No,
So
there was a guy.
they beat him
There was a guy who hit him.
on his head. No, come on, man. Then we can see when somebody is exaggerating and when somebody is not.
No,
Why did they bust Serena Sifa's car? Since that they're MO. No, we gotta be able to put people.
Are you saying they never put hand on him?
Lying, crooked group of people.
No.
They will lie on everything.
Are you saying they never put hand on him?
I didn't say they didn't put hand on him. In fact, when he was getting in his car, I saw one guy push his head. Okay? That I saw.
All right.
But I saw him get in his car and he drove out. So to say somebody bust his glass like I saw, that's a lie.
Thank you.
They must have done it afterward.
Thank you. Mr. Setu Kawe, we got 2 more callers and then we'll be done with the calls. Mr. Kawe, go ahead, sir.
Hey, how you doing, John?
Excellent.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I want to say hi to your panelists. I think it's very important for us to put this conversation in this perspective, mainly with the so-called security expert, Mr. Sharif. I don't know what school he went to, and I'm not trying to just be mean.
Yeah, just go to the issue.
I think it's very important for him to stop misleading the people because they're in criminal justice setting. You know, the investigation, now criminal justice investigation are all scientific, all right? And that's why the first group of people that is on the scene are the police. One thing I want to stress very important, there's something called PTSD. When something happens to people just feel like PTSD is only for the military. If you go through crime, and you should know this, if somebody attacked your house and somebody got killed, all right, that trauma is very important. That's why in America, when people go to the crime scene, they carry psychologists, they carry mental health specialists to help victims. Because at that particular time, whatever they say, it's just based on the emotion, the in shock and stuff.
Yeah.
For him to come and sit and say, well, they had this person in the house and all that, how can a criminal justice expert say that? On what ground is he making these allegations? If you look at the police, all what the police should have done was to secure the crime scene. We were very important. Go around, canvass the area, investigate the people that were around, collect evidence, you know, and then detectives go in there and start doing the investigation. But everything in Liberia is politics. You understand? You have this lady that has gone through a lot now. She's been re-victimized because of politics. And we are accepting it because we say, oh, well, here is a woman that just lost somebody that was dear to her. And what's going to happen to that? Nothing. Because we have seen the auditors, we have seen people got killed, and there's nothing. The only reason this thing is going all about is because he's considered Gloria Scott. That's all. You have groups of women, groups, and all this happen. It's a shame. It's a shame. And I don't know what to say, but I want to say something about the university student.
Right, please, quickly, because
the university student, they have the right to protest against people that they view as corrupt. In Japan, they do it all the time. In China, they do it all the time. You understand? They have the right. If you know the history, way back when Grady Addison went to that campus, the so-called NDPR youth, remember that? The so-called NDPR youth, they were saying Soup and other group were not going to protest. They were not going to protest for serial release. The so-called NDPR youth, where are they today? Where are the NDPR youth? They are not around. The same thing with the Taylor group, they are not around. If you look at during the Doe era, there were certain people named that kept surfacing. Charles Jew, Harrison Penny, all these guys, because they had a history of doing things that were very bad. The same thing with Koijee. Our people say where there is a smoke, there's fire. As a young man, we can take you resurfacing over and over and over, and we say, oh yeah, he's clean, or he's being victimized. No. I think what is happening in that country, we pray that for her family, and we also pray that Akara Gray, that I know, he should stop it. Because CDC is so struggling to leave from being an opposition party to a really governing party. You can't do what he's trying to do. Conflict resolution is key.
Right.
So we want to appeal to Akara Grace to stop it. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's get the last caller here, Mr. Thomas Kane. Thomas, you have a minute.
Thank you, Dennis. Quickly, let me go to the issue of the University of Liberia students. I think the whole issue of the students booing someone, running people out of the campus, these are symptoms of a problem. What is the real problem that is causing all of that is poor governance. Mm-hmm. Because if governance is not poor, if people are now looting the state resources, those students will have no reason to boo anybody, or they will have no reason to chase anybody out of that campus. And this is not only this government. Even under the Madam Salif regime, those students always had to stand up. And what we do to ourselves as a country is that we send people to university instead of them going to go and learn and focus on their lesson. Governance is so poor to the extent that they spend 4 years in that university only fighting the government. Because nothing happens well. So I think the point of their action is just a reaction to something that is happening. The whole problem is that if we improve governance, if governance is not bad, those students will stay in their classrooms and focus. And for Honorable Gray to say he is going there in the midst of this kind of situation is just aggravating the problem. I don't know when he became a conflict resolution person, and that's the only result the conflict had by actually aggravating it. On the issue of Justice Scott, I think one of the previous speakers spoke to this point. And some of these, our colleagues who come on the platform here, they have to understand the difference between the audience in Liberia and the audience here. There are people here who are critical enough to be able to follow things. You can't discuss that incident in isolation to say, oh, those girls been fighting before. Like the other people have said. So they were waiting for the criminals to come and bust the car and take the document for 2 different times before they fight between themselves. And you sit on a platform in the most enlightened country and think that you're speaking to people, to the CDC party headquarters, and put these lies out. You have not investigated anything, and you say it was an issue of domestic violence. And lastly, on the major question we should be asking is, where is Koijee appetite for former rebels coming from? If he's that peaceful, why is he hiring these people and putting them in the MCC police? Whose work is only to tell people to sweep their compounds and throw the dead to the right dustbin? What is his appetite for these army generals? When we answer that question, then we'll know whether he is a victim or he's a perpetrator. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the last caller here. Let me start with Prince. Let's take at least a minute each. So I'm taking 5 minutes to respond to our callers. A minute each, please. Let's start with Prince because the last caller directed some comments at you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Let me thank all of the callers. It is unfortunate listening to our brother Thomas. That you will sit here, you have your 3 square meal a day, and you will hail people for carrying on violence on the campuses of the University of Liberia. As if here in the United States, they play where you are, in America where you are. Whether if you have ever attended any university, I don't know, or whether you will promote any act of violence on your university campus that you are attending. Now, this is just to tell us, the fellow Liberians that are listening to us, this is the behavior of the opposition. They feel that the only way they can survive is in chaos, is in violence. We saw that 1989, when they could not use the ballot box to defeat President Samuel Kayando. What did they do? They ran in the bushes. They encouraged violence. They gave us drugs and they gave us arms. And at the end of the day, we plunged our nation into complete chaos that up to today we have not even rebuilt that particular nation. So I want to say to Liberians that President Weah is doing everything to unite the country. But unfortunately, the opposition leaders, like Alexander Comis, Joseph Nima Boyka, and etc., they are doing everything to divide that nation because they feel that the only way that they can be leaders, like it happened with the likes of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, after killing our people, they came back and became leaders of the nation. They feel that that is the best way they can obtain state power. They said it from the very beginning, that they will make sure that under a Weah-led government, that there will be an interim government. But we can assure you that we did not arrive here just by eating pizza and genetic modified chicken. We did not become a ruling party from sleeping and singing battle cry. We understand the game and we are playing it well in favor of the people of Liberia. We'll do everything to protect the peace with our life, with our blood. Liberia will never slip into chaos. We will protect it with everything that we have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't forget to thank Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for giving we are the presidency.
Hold on, Glendy. I'm coming to you to use 1 minute, please, and respond to our callers.
Thank you, Dennis, for the time. It's always good to come here. I was just trying to help Prince remember Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. This Ellen Johnson Sirleaf that they are criticizing today was a major reason as to why Weah is president. That's why when he became president, he refused to order Ellen Johnson Sirleaf because she contributed to his presidency. But I want to also say, I mean, the discussion has been good. I mean, sometimes it's kind of difficult. It was a bit difficult because
you have time for your closing comment. I just wanted you to respond to the callers.
Oh no, well, Elvis, I don't know. So Elvis, it's almost like it's becoming rhetorical for him that every call or everything he has to say has to go against Mulba. So it's almost like I expected that his call would end up with Mulba, but it's also like I said, when we know better, we have to do better. If you're well learned and you're educated, you have to have substance for evidence. You can't go by hearsay and say, oh, we heard the pastor say they were fighting or they used to fight. And then we say that's the evidence we have. That's not evidence. It's not scientific. There's no proof. It's just hearsay. So I didn't agree with him when he said that, when he came and also tried to help Prince by saying, oh, yes, we have the evidence. That's no evidence.
Thank you. Mr. Kesele, 1 minute, please.
You give Prince 5 minutes. You got to give me 5 minutes.
And to respond to our caller.
One.
All right, but you see, I know Elvis. Today everyone added to him. But let me just say these things very shortly. when Elvis, if you and your wife were arguing repeatedly, so the day you get attacked, we should say you attack your wife because you will argue or something. So because families argue to go kill one another all of a sudden, and then the mother will decide to take one person and say, "Okay, well, I'll defend you saying you kill your sister." I mean, what logical reasoning do we find in accusing the justice without any evidence whatsoever of killing her own child that was living with her? It doesn't really add up to me. And another thing, if you listen to what Prince has just said, that is exactly what is leading to the increasing lawlessness in Liberia. And it will get worse during the election. The government is utterly useless. The government does not know her left from right. And that starts from the presidency all the way down. I mean, and all their supporters, they feel the same way. Instead of taking responsibility for the security of the country, you listen to Prince, and that's their mentality. So we took a group of myopic Liberians and gave them the Liberian leadership. So we expect them to see further beyond what is close to them. It will not happen. We give people short-sighted people. We give them a job to look beyond 5 years, 6 years. They will never do it. How can you sit here and you think you're making sense and you pride yourself and you're wearing a hat on your head and say it is the opposition that teaching people how to be attacking people? I mean, why can't you investigate and make sure the opposition that are teaching students to attack others, you can arrest them and prosecute them for teaching students? I mean, like, what are we talking about here?
Mr. Kesseley, I want you to address your.
No, I mean, look, man. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that, right? That was me. I'm sorry, but sometimes I get annoyed when you listen to people. I take that back. I agree. I take that back. I'm sorry. I was just annoyed just now.
People they can sleep before they come back.
No, what I'm doing here is I'm not going to pretend here. I was hurt to hear you say something like that because that clearly shows you that you don't know what to do with the power you have. You have the ability to arrest any opposition leader that will teach students how to prevent violence. I mean, the power is in your head. Why are you crying?
Thank you, Alice.
Yeah, I think the second to the last caller, he struck a point that when students are agitated, they are agitated for reasons. And so any responsible person will focus on why they are agitated instead of being upset that they are agitated. So the students at the University of Liberia, I think their actions that we watched in that video signify the problem that they have on the University of Liberia campus. The level of poverty that is in the country, especially among the student body, struggling to learn something is something that nobody can imagine. And so, as I said earlier, looking at the other videos where the students stated clearly why they drove the government official from the campus, they lay out their statements and I heard everything.
Right.
What I think we can do is for this University of Liberia to have a security. They have campus security in every major university, even high schools in the United States. They have campus securities. So if you want to curtail some of these things, you need to find a way to have campus security to take care of minor problems on campus, as opposed to students, fending for themselves. The University of Liberia authority needs to look into that.
Thank you, Mr. Krumah.
You're muted.
So Dennis, one of the callers, I think it was the last caller, the Kana guy, he made some very valuable points. I think it's important for our audience. It's important for us first to understand the audience that we're speaking to, and then understand that the people that are taking the time to get on the internet to watch us are intelligent people. And so they can ask questions. So when you come and start making open statements and making as facts, people will question the logic behind the statement that you're making. And I also listened to Aaron, and Elvis. You know, seem to suggest that some of the things that we're talking about, we're talking to, because we are illogical, which doesn't make sense. Because the things that we're having a conversation around, we have our own thoughts about it. We don't have the answers. When Aaron said, you need to call police officer to come and talk about. You can call a lawyer, you can call a police officer. That doesn't give them absolute knowledge. They don't have absolute. Nobody in this world has absolute knowledge. Great. So when we come and we give an opinion about some issues that are unfolding in the country, yeah, you have the authority to question what I say, because you are also an intelligent person. You should say, well, that thing this guy's saying doesn't make sense. Why is he saying it this way? Why is he not saying this other thing? But to think that because we're here, talking about these issues, we don't know what we're talking about, and so you go bring lawyer or bring police person to talk about the death of somebody. All of us have intelligence. We're not rap. We've spent our time sitting in classroom too and writing papers. So we have some ideas about these things that we're talking about, right? So I mean, I like some of the callers. I think that especially the last caller, I think he made some very valuable points about our audience that we speak to and the things that we project out there.
No, this audience is can be very tough.
It's okay. Tough is good.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's a tough audience. One time we're doing a show and they say, "Oh, why you bring this person?" I said, "But you don't do this to other shows." They say, "Because everywhere is different."
There you go.
Right.
Accountability.
So we take the toughness. Even when all right, tomorrow I want to tell you, tomorrow at 3 p.m. Focus on Liberia will have FOL Marketplace. This is where we discuss business, finance, and economics. We will be discussing the China Mall in Liberia. There's a China Mall. We'll talk about the economic benefits. And also, we're going to examine the Liberia Investment, Finance, and Trade Project that's LIFT. The president through the government through the Commerce Ministry just launched the LIFT project, providing loans for small business owners. We're going to examine that, and so you don't want to miss it. Also, at 7 p.m., we're going to do part 2 of President Daniel E. Howard. That's our Presidents of Liberia series on the History Channel with Chief Presenter Carl Famula and the co-presenter Jabari. Of course, I'll be there as the host. And that's the Liberian History Channel. This is the only place on the planet where Liberian history is discussed. Please take advantage of that. And if you are anywhere and you have the money to help us put these shows on the radio in Liberia, please do that. This is the only platform that is modeled after PBS. We does all the educational stuff. So whatever you can do so that we can operate in Liberia and let also the people in Liberia benefit, please do that. Don't keep asking me, "Oh, Dennis, are you on the radio?" We all need to rally around so that we get on the radio. Thank you. Well, I want to thank all of you for tonight. And in this debate, I'm like God. If I say stop, you stop. So Prince, get with the game. But I thank you so much for always availing yourself to this discussion. Nobody's getting paid, and you take your precious time, 2 hours plus, that you should be spending your happy hour on Friday with your family members, and you keep coming. I am really, really humbled by your presence here every time, and also by those who keep watching us even after, and those who call us to hold us accountable. Please continue to do that, and let's make this platform better. At this time, we will do not 1 minute now, but let's use at least 35 seconds each for your closing. Let's start with.
It's not gonna work. You know that.
I'm keeping time here. Momba, we can keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
I'll be watching the 35 seconds.
35 seconds, Mrs. Momba. Let's start with you.
Well, overall the show was great. I think the police, talking about Councillor Scott, the police got a lot of holes in their statements, ranging from the time of the interview, they denied that she was not cooperating, and then later on we found out that she been cooperating for 4 different times. And then they said that they took the body instead of doing autopsy. The family were rushing to bury the body, But then we found out from her daughter's podcast that the body was given to the police, and they did all their investigation. They turned the body and the death certificate over to the family. But then when the family tried to when the family tried to bury it, then they said, no, you can't do that. So, there were a whole lot of things. But at the same time, Madam Scott, needs to do a lot of explanation, writing. People don't read. Most of the people in Liberia, they don't read anything. So you can write a big press statement, put it on your website. They're not going to go there to read. So her daughter is doing a great job by, releasing the podcast for people to know what is going on the family side. I think that will help as well, so the audience will know the truth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Mr. Kroman, 35 seconds. Mama, please take note.
Dennis, thank you for the show, man. It was great. I'm really happy that I shared the platform with all of you. Thank you so much.
Time? I can't watch your time while I talk to you.
Let's show the time. Okay, I will keep it.
But on the overall, it's been a great show. I just want to ask the government to start doing her work instead of finding everybody to blame for everything that happens in the country. You were not elected to shift blames. Take responsibility and lead. That's why you were elected to power. It is not the other way around. But it's been a great show tonight. We've talked about everything. We disagree. But at the end of the day, we are all Liberians. We will all be Liberians, and we have to be proud of our country. And this is how we make our country better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Weaberian, your 35 seconds. Sir.
In the words of the President, His Excellency President Dr. George Manning Weah, don't mind them. President Weah is building rule, and they say that rule will eat. My people, you don't mind them. President Weah is building hospitals. So then they say, oh, the big hospital, the hospital will eat. Don't mind them. President Weah is making sure that our mothers are giving money so that at least they can be able to do their small businesses. They say, oh, that I want Liberian people will eat. My people, you don't mind them. Let us get prepared as we go to the polls in October to elect His Excellency President Dr. George Manning Weah.
It's time finish, my man. It's time finish.
Brandon, you get the last word.
Oh, Jesus. Somebody is saying, tell me, don't start the clock game. Tell me, say we need to add Tabitha to this show, and tonight that Prince had all the Tabitha. Well, anyway, it was a good show. I think it's kind of sad that we now are playing this serious case out in the courts of public opinion, which is a bit sad that it's not in the courthouse, it's now out. So I hope that we will find some form of sanity, will come back, and that the police and the Justice Ministry will take control of what's happening with the case. Thank you, everybody. It was great being here. Prince, thank you, yeah?
On that note, we close with our song that says, whatever side you be on in our political discussion and who you're going to vote for, it doesn't matter. We are all Liberians, and it is our duty to do our very best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Have a good night, and God bless. We are all Liberians.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.